At the stroke of the midnight hour, when the world sleeps, India will awake to life and freedom.
15th August 1947, India gained independence after 200 years of British rule and became one of the largest democracies in the world. What followed was one of the largest and deadliest mass migration in history. An estimated 1 million people lost their lives during this migration, where on one hand Independence Day was a celebration for India. On other hand, the country was ruthlessly partitioned between India and Pakistan. Between August 1947 and March 1948, 4.5 million Hindus and Sikhs were forced to migrate from Pakistan to India, and 6 million Muslims had to move in the opposite direction. 10 million people were displaced during the partition of India and 1 million people died. The traumatic story of partition and the celebration of Independence Day comes on the same day. Amidst the celebration of Independence Day, the pain of partition is often forgotten. But why did the partition happen and what were the reasons behind it? Was it really necessary? And most importantly, how some people used the science of persuasion to influence this partition. The country was partitioned on 14th August 1947, but it was not the first time the partition was actually discussed. Few months before this, on 3rd June 1947, Louis Mountbatten announced the plan to partition over the radio. It was known as the Mountbatten Plan. Until the very end, there remained only two famous leaders who were completely against the partition. One of them was Mahatma Gandhi and another was Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan. Before the announcement on 1st April 1947, Gandhi actually met Mountbatten. He was desperately trying to avoid the partition. He was so desperate to avoid the partition that he actually offered the position of the Prime Minister to Jinnah. Who is Jinnah? I'll come to that later. Other Congress leaders like Sardar Patel and Jawaharlal Nehru has actually accepted the plan of partition. Many people think that the partition was actually because of the dispute between Hindu and Muslims, which is not at all true. Half of the people were happy living in harmony and didn't even want to move. But because of the other half and the disputes between them, they had to move. Most of the battles fought in the name of religion were actually fought for the greed of power. But you're not told about that because a specific section of media and some political parties have based their whole business model on spreading hatred between the Hindu and Muslim communities. Anyway, let's talk about history a little bit. History की बात तो कर ही रहे हम, history का भी history. Let's talk about the revolt of 1857. It was yet another example of Hindu-Muslim unity. Many Hindu and Muslim rulers, including Rani Lakshmibai, Bahadur Shah Zafar and Mangal Pandey, fought together against the British. All of them accepted Bahadur Shah Zafar as their commander. And after this revolt, the British was really scared. They were afraid that if they united and revolted against them again, their rule would soon be over. The British had to find a solution to this, so they adopted their famous divide and rule policy. This is where the science of persuasion comes in. To better understand the divide and rule policy of the British, concentrate on the upcoming events I'm gonna talk about. At that time, the Viceroy of the country was Lord Dufferin. Viceroy matlab governor or king of a particular area. Viceroy Dufferin used a lot of techniques to smother the influence of Congress on Indian people. He tried to approach Indians who were on the side of British. One of them was educationalist Syed Ahmad Khan. Around 1887, Syed Ahmad Khan started giving speeches against Congress. He was completely against Congress and he advised people to stay away from Congress as well. This is where he started talking about the two-nation theory. He influenced people that Muslims are in danger, claiming that Hindus are suppressing Muslims and whatnot. That's why he claimed it would be better for Muslims to support the British and British rule. His instigating speeches and anti-Congress movements had severe impact. By the early 1900s, a section of elite Muslims in the country believed in this two-nation theory very strongly. Because of this, in 1906, All India Muslim League was founded. Obviously, the British wanted to implement their divide and rule policy. So the British completely supported this All India Muslim League. Their plan was succeeding. This led to a small group of Hindus feeling the same way. That's why, similar to All India Muslim League, another Hindu league was founded. On one hand, Muslims were believing Muslims are in danger narrative. And on other hand, the Hindus started believing that Hindus are in danger. Sounds very familiar, right? It's the same agenda used by a lot of politicians after 100 years, and this propaganda in a few years turned into riots. In the 1920s, religious riots started happening between the Hindu and Muslims. In 1915, Mahatma Gandhi came back to India and joined the freedom struggle movement. Gandhi became the new face of Indian nationalism. Gandhi was later joined by more people like Jawaharlal Nehru, Sardar Patel, Maulana Azad, Subhash Chandra Bose, Lal Bahadur Shastri and Bhagat Singh. These people believed in different ideologies, but one thing common between their ideologies is that they didn't want to divide people on the basis of religion. When Subhash Chandra Bose became the president of Congress, he imposed a condition on the membership of Congress. Any person who is the member of Hindu Mahasabha or the Muslim League could not become a member of Congress. The term Pakistan was introduced by Chaudhry Rahman Ali, who was the founder of the Pakistan National Movement in 1930. In January 1933, Rahmat Ali demanded a new country, Pakistan. This was the first time the idea of a completely new country emerged, that the Muslim needed to create a completely new country to survive. In 1939, England declared war against Germany and the World War II started. While there was a war going in the world between different countries, there was also another war going on within our country, between our own people. In 1940, Lahore session of the Muslim League passed a resolution demanding that the areas in the northeast and the northwest of India, where the Muslims are a majority, should become independent states. The Muslim League celebrated this day as the Pakistan Day. In August 1942, Mahatma Gandhi launched the Quit India movement. For the next few years, Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose cooperated with Japan and formed the Azad Hind Fauj. He decided to attack the British from the northeast India. Between 1940 and 1945, Winston Churchill was the Prime Minister of UK. You must have heard about him before. He really hated Indians. On 15th August 1946, Jinnah announced Direct Action Day. That basically provoked people into riots. Lot of riots took place in Calcutta, where a lot of Hindus were killed. On one hand, Churchill doesn't want to allow the partition, but on other hand, they want to wrap up this India-Pakistan situation as quickly as possible. Time was running out and the British couldn't reach a particular conclusion. That's why the Mountbatten Plan was finally accepted on 3rd June 1947. The British troops had no idea what's coming on their way. Riots and bloodshed took all over the country. On 14th August 1947, Pakistan was formed, a state for Muslims. And on other hand, India remained a secular country. Hindu and Muslim began moving to areas where they thought they would be safe. Millions of families divided themselves. In a period of 2 years, millions of Hindus and Sikhs living in Pakistan left for India, while Muslims living in India fled from villages where their families had been living for centuries. Around 100,000 women were kidnapped and raped brutally. Many families who made temporary moves became permanently displaced and couldn't see their family ever again. Over 14 million people were relocated and around 1 million people lost their lives because of this partition. And these are only the official estimated figures. No one actually knows the number. Certainly 15th August is the day of freedom for India, but are we really free? Well, I'm not talking about the freedom the government has offered us, but the freedom we need to give ourselves as individuals. It means the freedom from our conservative beliefs, freedom from religious and caste divisions, and most importantly, freedom from political manipulation. The divide and rule game was an ideology of the British, but it has been adopted by our own politicians now. These were just my opinions and your thoughts can differ. Thank you for watching. Happy Independence Day. Jai Hind.